Fiat at last has a credible mid-sized LCV contender in the form of this Talento model, a vehicle that delivers smart looks, plenty of technology and levels of practicality that are difficult to beat in this segment. These virtues are shared with this model's Renault, Nissan and Vauxhall design stablemates, but Fiat Professional offers an arguably more complete after-sales package to set this contender apart. It all means that if you're thinking of a van in this sector, this one certainly needs to be on your shortlist.
Fiat's LCV sales have been growing steadily over the last decade thanks to a vast investment in new product, which now sees its professional van lineup offering businesses everything from a 2.8 cubic metre Fiorino van to a 17 cubic metre Ducato. The mid-sized Talento model we're looking at here lies somewhere in the middle of that little lot, and it claims to offer all the benefits of a very large van with the affordable running costs of quite a small one. Now, as ever with the Fiat LCV, it's a collaborative product. The touring brand loves a partnership. Now, the company has developed city cars with Ford, super minis with GM and sports cars with Mazda. When it comes to vans, though, Fiat's preference has traditionally been to share technology with the French PSA Peugeot Citroën group, as at the time of this model's launch it still did with its Fiorino and Ducato LCVs. However, when it became necessary to replace the mid-sized Fiat Professional Scudo model in 2016, the Italians chose instead to switch their allegiance to the partnership that was formed to produce vans that bear Renault, Nissan and Vauxhall badges. And that's what's brought us this Talento range. Talento, which references an ancient coin, is a name Fiat's used before on short wheelbase versions of their largest Ducato LCV back in the 90s. Now, the badge has been revived because it apparently evokes value and dependability while also suggesting a broad range of abilities. Now, whether that is an accurate description of what's on offer in this case is what we're here to find out. But at first glance, the downsized 1.6-litre diesel engines look impressively clean and frugal. The infotainment options are tempting. And most crucially of all, the load area is larger than Fiat regulars may expect it to be. Now, the previous Scudo model had a maximum cargo volume of 6 cubic metres, but the biggest version of this Talento can take up to 8.6 cubic metres, which, according to Fiat, allows this van to address 30% more of the mid-size segment than could be dealt with by its predecessor. All of which is just as well, because this model will certainly need to make good on its glossy brochure promises if it's going to face down direct medium-sized LCV rivals as talented as Ford's Transit Custom, Volkswagen's Transporter, Mercedes Vito and the shared design that we know as either a Peugeot Expert, a Citroën Dispatch or a Toyota Proace. Arguably, though, an even tougher challenge for Fiat will lie in differentiating this product from its near-identical design stablemates, Renault's Trafic, Nissan's NV300 and Vauxhall's Vivaro. The Italians, though, are optimistic, and they have good reason to be. Let's find out why. Like most of the best modern mid-sized vans, this one feels pretty much like a large MPV on the move. The driving position is as commanding as you'd expect, and big door mirrors with convex surfacing on their lower and outer edges are present and correct to help with manoeuvring that can be aided by the neat View Plus wide view mirror that's fitted to the back of the passenger sun visor. Further embellishments to help you avoid urban scrapes include options like parking sensors and a rear view camera. Now, another thoughtful touch is the Eco mode that you can select by pressing this button down by the gear stick. This restricts the pulling power of the engine and promotes greater efficiency. And talking of the gear stick, the light but positive 6-speed manual transmission you get right across the range is a tried and tested unit. Talking of tried and tested units, let's turn to the engine lineup on offer. All the power plants diesel driven and 1.6 litres in size, with either single or twin turbo applications, depending on how much day-to-day pulling power your business will realistically require. Now, the single turbo models are badged multi-jet, while the twin turbo units use EcoJet branding. If your Talento will mainly be used for urban-based deliveries, then the entry-level 95 HP single-turbo multi-jet model may actually be all you need, with a reasonable 260 Nm of torque, so you won't have to row the thing along with a gear lever in the streets. Despite that, many shopping at this level want to stretch to the extra grunt of the 120 HP version, with its useful increase in torque to 300 Nm. Or at least they will if funds prevent purchase of one of the preferable, pokier and more efficient EcoJet badge twin-turbo derivatives. Of these, the one we'd highlight for you is the EcoJet 125 HP model we're trying here, a variant that we think represents the sweet spot in the Talento lineup. The power plant technology on offer here really is state-of-the-art in this van's commercial segment. The engine uses a small turbo to kick in at low revs before a larger one cuts in to scroll the horizon towards you as if it's on fast forward. Rest to 62 miles an hour takes around 12 seconds. Now, it's not only a pokier solution, torque rises to 320 Nm, but also a 10% more efficient one. So have cake and eat it. It's as simple as that. We can't imagine many users needing much more performance than this particular derivative provides from a van of this size, but for those that do, and for those who might point to the fact that rivals offer more powerful engines, Fiat also provides an EcoJet 145 HP twin-turbo variant with a stonking 340 Nm of grunt. Now that reduces the rest to 62 miles an hour time to just below 11 seconds. Now, the torque figures we've been quoting are important because they should allay potential customer fears that the 1.6-litre power plants on offer here just aren't up to the job that many rivals need 2-litre engines to complete. Those are fears that are hardly groundless when you look a little closer at the stats of this vehicle. Now, fitting a smaller lump beneath the bonnet had to tell somewhere, and sure enough, the payloads that this Fiat can carry are slightly lower than those of some competitors, although it can still be specified to lug around up to nearly 1.3 tonnes. Now, the Italian brand reckons these slight payload restrictions shouldn't matter to most operators, and, well, they're probably right. It'll certainly help that this Talento should prove to be a tough workhorse, whatever its working conditions. Now, maybe that'll involve towing. Now, if so, this vehicle's able, when it's equipped with a towing hutch, to pull a 750-kilo unbraked trailer and up to 2,000 kilos for a braked unit. Maybe it'll involve deliveries over loose surfaces such as gravel or light snow or mud. If so, a standard Traction Plus feature allows one wheel to spin to help you gain traction. And maybe it'll involve long highway mileage. Now, if so, you'll appreciate the improved refinement that's aided by an acoustic windscreen using a special resin that filters out vibrations, minimises hum and restricts the amounts of transmission noise you get into the cabin. As for dynamic issues, well, what are your priorities? The ride isn't quite as good as it would be in a rival Peugeot or Citroën van, and the handling isn't quite as sharp as it would be in a rival Ford Transit Custom. Arguably, though, this Fiat, like its Renault, Nissan and Vauxhall design contemporaries, offers a good balance between the two. It doesn't suffer from the overlight steering feedback that afflicts a Peugeot Expert or a Citroën Dispatch. The brakes are strong, the 6-speed gearbox is slick, and the vehicle feels poised and stable in the corners with well-controlled standards of body roll. Fiat has tried hard to give this Talento model its own identity. Obviously, though, there was only so much that could be done in this regard, given that this must roll down the same Sandouville production line in France as its Renault Trafic and Nissan NV300 design stablemates. Still, we like the way that the forward-stretching windscreen connects elegantly to this short bonnet, and as a result, the overall effect delivers, well, quite a smart and well-proportioned front end. Examine that area of the van in more detail and you'll better appreciate the way that the grille has been designed to flow into these sleekly sculpted headlights that are mounted high on the bodywork to keep them out of harm's way and to aid visibility. Below that, this wraparound bumper features piercing LED daytime running lights and a lower grille that can incorporate beady fog lamps in each corner. The greater chassis flexibility available to Fiat's mid-size contender this time around enables it to offer a wider range of body style options than the previous Scudo model could provide. Long or short wheelbase variants available with high or low roof heights. Most customers will probably stick with the short wheelbase version that we're trying here. Now move to the back, and the squared off rear end is designed to allow for maximum inner space and a high load capacity, while giving the Talento what Fiat hopes is a broad stance exuding stability and strength. Whatever. As usual, the vertically stacked lights flank the normal hinged rear doors with a tailgate available as an option if you want it. Time to take a seat inside. And that's easy to do thanks to a wide, deep cabin step. And that'll be particularly appreciated by people like couriers. Now, once you're in the cab, the individualistic dash offers a little bit more styling flair than you'll find in most other vans in this class. And although the fit and finish doesn't really deliver any sort of, well, premium feel, the overall effect is pleasantly fashioned and ergonomically sound. Mind you, aside from the steering wheel badge, there's nothing very Fiat-like about it. This unusually styled instrument cluster with its centred digital readout and flanking crescent-shaped rev canter and fuel gauges is borrowed straight from a Renault Clio, as is much of the switchgear. Perhaps that's one reason, actually, why the overall ambiance is so relatively un-van-like. Instead, it's more like the kind of modern MPV people carrier that this Talento actually can be if you order the 9-seater minibus combi version. Build quality seems strong, and you certainly get very comfortable seating with a 6-way adjustable chair that sits at just the right angle to the adjustable steering wheel, and which can be reclined quite a way back into the standard full-height bulkhead. Around you, the materials generally feel of decent quality too, or at least most of them do. Now, I think that the panel that covers the optional passenger airbag might struggle once it's been presented with a few pairs of steel toe-cap boots. A range of extra thoughtful touches are certainly welcome, though, like the View Plus wide view mirror that can be fitted to the back of the passenger sun visor for extra help when you're reversing. If you ran Fiat's previous Scudo model, you'll also notice how spacious this cabin is for its front occupants, although there is a caveat to that, and it applies if you happen to have drawn the short straw and find yourself stuck in the middle of the cab in front of the dash-mounted gear stick, in which case your journey will be as comfort compromised as it always is in vans that offer such an extra middle seat berth. Not going to criticise that, though. There's really not much the designers can do to make this feature more usable, and on countless occasions we've been very thankful to have it when, for example, our testers have needed to do things like drop the kids off at school on the way to work. In any case, if you've specified a model with this mobile office-style folding front seat, you'll find that most of the time you won't be using this space for seating anyway. You fold this down and you've got yourself a workable desk surface with a rather flimsy-feeling clipboard attachment, and there's ample space for a laptop. So you can quickly link into the various infotainment technology features on offer. Something that'll be particularly easy if you pay extra for the media navigation system with its 7-inch colour touchscreen. Link everything into your smartphone. It'll be easier to keep track of the day's appointments in between slurps from takeaway beverages that can sit in one of 3 provided cup holders. There's one at either end of the dash, and there's one via this fold-down compartment in the gear stick. Something that we'd be using on a particularly regular basis is this large space on top of the dashboard, and that's ideal for dropping things like paperwork, folders or laptop cables into. It incorporates a coin holder and a USB port too. Interior stowage space, in fact, is one of this Talento model's strong points. No fewer than 14 separate cupboards being provided, with a class-leading combined capacity of 90 litres, much of that being available in and around the dashboard area. This includes upper and lower glove boxes with a storage ledge in between them. The lower glove box is 12 litres in size, and that's large enough to accommodate an A4 size clipboard and a 1.5 litre bottle. Plus there's a range of other easily accessible spaces for things like keys, coins and phones, including a storage compartment by the driver's right knee and decently sized 4.5 litre door bins. Items that don't need to be directly at hand can be stored in this 54-litre compartment that's concealed beneath the front passenger seat. Now, one feature we particularly need to highlight is the clever Cargo Plus load-through hatch. That's an option that, in our view, is essential, given the way it enables longer items to be poked through from the cargo bay. As with most rivals in the mid-sized van segment, this Talento is available in a wide range of different variants to suit specific needs. As an alternative to this standard panel van, you can mix people and packages in the crew van version with its second row seating that increases the vehicle's total passenger capacity to 6. The asking figures for the panel van models we're focusing on here sit mainly in the $25,000 to $30,000 bracket, including VAT. There is a model-for-model premium of around £2,800 if you want to upgrade from a panel van to get the extra people carrying flexibility of a crew van. Talento pricing across the range matches up very closely not only to this vehicle's key Renault Trafic, Nissan NV300 and Vauxhall Vivaro design stablemates, but also to arguably its closest market rival, Ford's Transit Custom. In fact, you may even save a little over the Ford and other mainstream competitors like Peugeot's Expert, Citroen's Dispatch and Toyota's ProAce. And you could save several thousand over a directly equivalent German contender like Volkswagen's Transporter or Mercedes Vito. Those who need to look beyond the conventional Talento body styles have a little more choice this time around, thanks to the fact that platform cab derivatives are also being offered to try to give the brand a larger share of the conversions market. Now, prices here are pitched at just over the £27,000 mark, including VAT. Alternatively, you could give the whole vehicle over to passenger transport in the 9-seater combi version. Now, that has a fully glazed cabin and removable 3-seat benches in the second and third rows. We're assuming here, though, that most potential customers will be panel van people who will be selecting between short wheelbase L1 and long wheelbase L2 body lengths and low and high roof H1 and H2 body styles. Now, we've got the short wheelbase low roof L1 H1 model here. Once you've made that choice, you'll next need to decide on the version you want of the 1.6-litre diesel that all Talentos use, either the single-turbo Multijet 95 HP or Multijet 120 HP models, or the twin-turbo EcoJet 125 HP engine, which we have here, or EcoJet 145 HP variant, both of which come with stop and start as standard to cut the engine when you don't need it. Now, when it comes to specification, there are 3 choices: the base standard version, mid-range SX trim, or an owner-driver orientated top Technico spec. Now, even the standard model comes reasonably well equipped, inclusive of features like a DAB digital radio with steering column audio controls, Bluetooth and USB connectivity, a trip computer and a 12-volt socket in the cab. Plus, there are also LED daytime running lights, powered heated mirrors, electric front windows, a dual front passenger seat, remote control central deadlocking, a 6-way adjustable driver's seat with lumbar support and an armrest, a near side sliding side door and a full height steel bulkhead. Now, you also get a hill start assistant to stop you from drifting backwards on uphill junctions, a full-size spare wheel and a clever Traction Plus feature that helps with traction on slippery surfaces. Now, if you can afford a little more, mid-range SX trim also throws in air conditioning, rear parking sensors, the View Plus wide view mirror that fits on the passenger side sun visor, body-coloured mirrors and bumpers, and a smarter so-called living brown trimmed interior. Plus, there's Fiat's mobile office package, which gives you under-seat storage, along with a fold-down passenger seat featuring a detachable clipboard holder. Models ordered with either standard or SX trim will, of course, account for the vast majority of UK Talento sales, but Fiat Professional also expects a growing market amongst users who want something, well, a little bit nicer, equipped as standard with some of the extra features that really set this design apart. Now, these are the buyers that are being targeted by the plusher Technico trim level. For a premium of around £700 over SX trim, this gives you Fiat's full media navigation system with its smart 7-inch centre-dash colour touchscreen. Plus, at this level, you also get cruise control with a variable speed limiter. Whichever Talento trim level you decide on, it is a little disappointing to find that you don't get an alarm and that safety isn't quite as well covered as you might hope from a modern era van. To be fair, all models do get ESC stability control and ABS with emergency brake assist, plus rollover mitigation and adaptive load control, which manages ESC intervention depending on the load you're carrying. All that's welcome, but it's still surprising to find just a single driver's airbag fitted across the range. Thorax and curtain airbags are on the options list, as is a tyre pressure monitoring system. Where a tow bar's fitted, a trailer stability program is also available. On to non-safety related options. Now, the key extra cost feature that we think all buyers of this van ought to order is the Cargo Plus bulkhead load-through facility. It'll make such a difference if you have lengthy items to carry, or if you turn up at a job and find the cargo to be transported is bigger than you thought it was. And on that subject, the load bay is going to get awfully scratched and dented unless you also tick the box for the optional ply lining kit that we have here. That comes with a resin-coated plywood floor. Other practically orientated extra cost features include a tow bar, an extra offside sliding side door, window glass for the bulkhead and the side doors, a rubber floor mat for the load compartment, a digital tachograph, and for the long wheelbase models, a 255-degree wider opening feature for the rear doors that can be panelled or glazed. You could also order a glazed tailgate, though of course that would make forklift loading difficult. And there's an underbody steel protection kit that might be useful if you'll be delivering to places like building sites. Optional grippier all-season tyres might help there too. What else? Well, you could add a keyless entry system, a leather-covered steering wheel, a rear-view camera, a heated rear window with a wiper, auto headlamps and wipers, and a heated driver's seat. If you want to improve the looks of this Fiat, then you might want to consider the various optional style packs, or add things like grey or matte black 17-inch alloy wheels, front fog lights, tinted glass, or special metallic or pastel paint. If you have a mainstream Talento variant, then your dealer will be keen that you consider the media navigation system we just mentioned. If you have the base standard model, then we think you really need to add that View Plus wide view mirror we referenced earlier, and maybe also that mobile office package too. Let's check out the loading area, accessed through these symmetrically split rear doors with their chunky handles. The left-hand door, which carries a number plate, can be independently locked so that longer items can more safely be carried poking out of this right-hand door. Now, hopefully, the necessity for doing that should be rare, thanks to a couple of useful features that have been designed into this Talento model. Now, first, there's the fact that whichever of the two body lengths you choose, short wheelbase L1 or long wheelbase L2, you'll get more interior storage length than the old Scudo model could offer, despite the fact that this van has a relatively compact wheelbase. And secondly, there's the option of a neat Cargo Plus load-through bulkhead that allows longer items like ladders or planks of wood to be poked right through into the cab. And we mean right through into the cab. Now, where this feature is offered on arrival for Transit Custom, you can only push things through from the cargo bay as far as the edge of the seat base here. Now, it's used to be able to do that, of course, but the difference here is that you can go even further. Now, all you've got to do is release these flaps in the front of the passenger seat, and that'll enable you to poke stuff right through into the footwell, freeing up over 400 millimetres of potentially crucial extra length that you just wouldn't have access to in the Ford. Ultimately, this is a crucial feature because it could make it unnecessary for you to pay more for an L2 long wheelbase Talento model. After all, with this load-through hatch fully open, this standard short wheelbase L1 variant's total interior load length is already pretty impressive, able to increase from the standard 2,537mm cargo bay total to as much as 3,750 mils. If you do go for the long wheelbase L2 model, then you'll find that the standard cargo bay length will rise from 2,937mm to 4,150 mils, and that is class leading. So there are differences in body style length. What about height? Well, you don't get an option on that with the Mercedes, the Volkswagen, the Peugeot, the Citroën and the Toyota products in this segment, but you do here thanks to a couple of distinct roof options. The low roof variant that we're trying in this case offers 1,387 millimetres of vertical interior clearance, with the high roof option increasing that to 1,898 millimetres. Now, your choice between the various roof heights and wheelbase lengths will, of course, have a huge impact on your potential total carriage capacity. An L1H1 short wheelbase, low roof height Talento panel van model like this one can manage a 5.2 cubic metre total, and that's enough to allow you to transport up to 3 of these Euro pallets or no fewer than 11 BA13 spec standard sheets of plasterboard. Now this though can rise to as much as 8.6 cubic metres in the biggest L2H2 long wheelbase high roof panel van variant. If you go for the alternative crew van body style with its second fold-out seating row, the total capacity figures are 3.2 cubic metres for the short wheelbase version or 4 cubic metres for the long wheelbase model. Of course, operators won't only be concerned about the capacity they can carry, they'll also want a van that can deal with heavier weights too. Now, in short wheelbase form, you get a choice of either 10 or 12 Talento models. The numbers designate a payload figure that's respectively close either to 1,000 kilograms or 1,200 kilograms. The long wheelbase range sticks with the heavier 12 model option. Now, to be specific, short wheelbase 10 and 12 variants offer payload capacities that vary between 1,074 kilos and 1,133 kilos, depending on the variant. With the long wheelbase 12 derivatives, the payload figures vary between 1,170 kilos and 1,249 kilos. What else? Well, as usual, there's a standard near-side side-loading door and an optional off-side one. In both cases, there's an opening width of 1,030 millimetres, which isn't quite enough to admit a Euro pallet. There's a low loading height, though, just 100 millimetres. In the cargo bay, up to 16 lashing eyes are provided in the short wheelbase version and up to 18 in the long wheelbase models. Now, should you forget to use those and find everything sliding forward, you'll be glad of the standard full-height steel bulkhead. Now, this has been specified to be able to withstand the so-called fridge test. Now, that is based around the crash impact force of an unsecured cube of the size and weight of a fridge being hurled forward through the cargo area in an emergency stop. To prevent damage from unsecured items like that, most operators want to look at the optional ply lining kit that we've got here to properly protect the load bay. On to running costs, which can't match those of the Peugeot and Citroën models in this segment, but which are on a par with the models from Ford, Volkswagen and Mercedes. Now, your exact fuel and CO2 returns will, of course, be fundamentally impacted by your choice between the single and twin turbo options provided in the 1.6 litre diesel engine range. Now, surprisingly, the more powerful EcoJet twin turbo units represent the most efficient choice, primarily because they come complete with regenerative braking and a stop and start system that will cut the engine when you don't need it, when you're stuck at the lights or waiting in traffic. As a result, the Talento EcoJet 120 HP variant we're trying here can manage 47.9 mpg on the combined cycle and 155 grams per kilometre of CO2. The Pokia EcoJet 145 HP model also uses stop and start, and that delivers 46.3 mpg combined cycle readings and 160 grams per kilometre of CO2. In contrast, the single turbo Multijet 95 HP and Multijet 120 HP Talento models manage 43.5 mpg and 170 grams per kilometre of CO2. If you run a fleet of vans, though, you won't need telling that figures like those are pie in the sky unless you have a cooperative fleet of drivers all ready to use their vehicles with efficiency in mind. Now, if that is the case, you'll certainly want to get them using this Talento model with its eco mode continually activated. And via depression of a button on the gearshift console, engine power and torque are decreased, the response of the throttle pedal is modulated, and the operation of the air conditioning and the heating system is modified, all to save fuel. Now that'll deliver fuel and emission savings of up to 10%. Many fleet owners will suspect, and no doubt rightly, that their drivers won't push the button to achieve all of that often enough. If so, they can get that eco mode setting permanently hardwired into their vans before delivery. What else? Insurance groupings. Well, they're rated at between groups 39 and 45, depending on the variant you're looking at. Now, as you'd expect, those stats aren't very different from those of this model's Renault Trafic, Nissan NV300 and Vauxhall Vivaro design stablemates. Now, where this Fiat does hold an advantage over its design clones, though, is in the mileage length allowed for as part of its warranty. Fiat's plan covers you for up to 120,000 miles, as opposed to the 100,000 mile limit imposed by Renault, Nissan and Vauxhall. Now, we should point out, though, that the standard Fiat plan is limited to 3 years. Renault's standard cover is 4 years, and with Nissan, it's 5. Now, it's also worth knowing that with the Talento, you get unlimited mileage in the first 2 years of the warranty cover, plus there's a 12-year anti-corrosion warranty and also 3 years of roadside assistance. Not that you should need that. The 1.6-litre engines offered here have a dependable reputation, and they're said to be good for up to 250,000 miles. Maintenance costs should be affordable too, courtesy of reasonably lengthy service intervals that are every 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever comes first. Plus, it'll certainly help that the engine can go long intervals between coolant changes and inspections for things like valve clearance. Elements like the timing chain require no servicing at all, nor will the diesel particulate filter. And talking of diesel fumes, this Talento abandons the EGR exhaust gas recirculation technology used in Fiat's larger Ducato van in favour of an SCR, selective catalytic reduction system, which uses an AdBlue solution that'll have to be topped up as part of regular servicing. In summary, it's difficult to think of a time when Fiat had as competitive a mid-sized van as this Talento. Primary reasons for buying an LCV of this kind are practicality and peace of mind. And in both areas, this Italian contender scores highly. Get a version fitted with the optional Cargo Plus load-through system, and you'll find that only the Renault, the Nissan and the Vauxhall models that share this design can match the total loading length on offer. And even they can't equal the 120,000 mile distance that you can cover as part of the standard warranty. We like the careful little touches too. The eco mode driving option that makes it easy to lower your running costs. The mobile office package with its folding front seat, and the wide angle View Plus passenger sun visor mirror that helps you when you're reversing. Although we have seen some of these things before in other LCV products, they've been delivered here with a level of thought and thoroughness that operators will like. Of course, this Talento isn't perfect. Not everyone is going to like the style of its digital instrument layout, for example. And although the downsized 1.6-litre engines are tough and durable, they can't claim class-leading levels of efficiency. Overall, though, what's on offer here should give this Italian brand a fighting chance of increasing its share in the mid-sized LCV segment, despite stronger competition from a revitalised raft of rivals. What business buyers want is a multi-talented contender in this segment, a professional option. And if that's your perspective, well then Fiat reckons this is your van.